What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mistick's MMOs. I'm your host, Mistick Raven. I got a new build for my Magplar. This is a DPS build, and I'm quite enjoying it. It is definitely not meta. I'll go into some alterations that you can make if you want to adjust some values, but overall, I like this, and I like to come out with builds that, you know, are viable and easily accessible. And this build is exactly that. So let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? Character sheet. 50,000. Yes. 50,000 max magicka. Magicka recovery before pot, 1602. It goes up to about 1900 once you drink a potion. Max health, 19,397. I'm cool with it because I heal as I'm damaging. So if you want to, you know, drop down that magicka under 50, by all means, go ahead. Health recovery is 477. Spell damage, 3,068. Spell crit, 54.5. Now I have two alterations to this build, and I will show both of them. And our spell pen is 5,395. We've allocated all attribute points into max magicka. We are using the ghastly eyeballs, and we're using the thief mundus. Okay. Now the back bar, you'll see it's pretty much exactly the same, and I'll explain why. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to be using Destruction Mastery set. Now, I know a lot of people are immediately going to say, wait a minute, this is not easily accessible because it drops in Dragon Star Arena. Well, players can sell this gear on vendors. Now, I got mine in Dragon Star Arena, but you don't need to do vet. You can do it on normal, and it's relatively easy on normal. If you want to do it on vet and farm the purple, go ahead, or you can look around on guild vendors and there could be possibly a couple pieces being sold. I didn't know that either, but surprise, surprise. Lots have changed. So my Inferno Staff has a flame damage glyph with trait precise. Now this set, what it does is give you max magicka, spell critical, spell damage. While you have a destruction staff equipped, your max magicka is 2,807. Also, because of the set's stipulations, we're also going to have the lightning staff. Now this is glyphed with weapon damage increase, once again precise. We're going to be using a one-piece slime crawl for that critical value, infused max magicka, Jerkin of Destruction Mastery, Divine, Max Magicka. Now, this, if you're in a pug, I would recommend using One Piece Zon for the critical value, Divine. Now, that's supposed to be Max Magicka. Let me change that real quick. Now, when you go back in, it changes a little bit. So if you want the health there, you can, but yeah, whatever. So, yeah. So there's that as well. Crafty Alfique is our secondary set. For a Magplar, this set is amazing. Why? Because of the skill towards the finisher, right? We have a 10-to-1 ratio. So for every 10 points of max magicka is equivalent to 1 spell damage. Thus, 50,000 max magicka is roughly equivalent, not exactly because it's 10.5 to 1 or whatever, but is roughly around 5,000 spell damage, give or take. So that's why I went so high on the max magicka. Because also our Radiant Oppression, which is our finisher, deals 20% more damage in proportion to your current magicka. Really nice. Really, really nice. And Crafty Alfique is the El Resistance. So this is Divine, Max Magicka. Crafty Alfique Gloves, Divine, Max Magicka. Breaches of Destruction Mastery, Divine, Max Magicka. Crafty Alfique Shoes, Divine, Max Magicka. And then Necklace of Destruction Mastery, Spell Damage. Crafty Alfique Ring, 1 recovery because we're a high elf. Now, if you're any other race that has recovery, like a Breton, you could afford to glyph them all spell damage. Okay? But for a high elf, I do recommend 1 magicka recovery. This is going to be all arcane, no infuse. Why? We're scaling max magicka. Now, I did try to put a Bloodthirsty on here, so I do have the Bloodthirsty, but I was losing damage on the finisher due to the max magicka scaling. So I opted to stay with the arcane. But if you want to go with 1 Bloodthirsty, by all means, your other damaging abilities will scale higher, but your finisher will drop. That's a hard call, but it's there. Okay, now secondary setup that we're going to have available to us is with the Waiting Kilt. So the only thing we're going to do is switch out the legs of Destruction Mastery for the Harpoon's Waiting Kilt and put in the Epilots of Destruction Mastery instead of the Zun. So it'll go from a 54.5 to a 63% crit once everything's procced with sorcery. But here's the deal. If you're in a pug, a lot of times you can't reach your full stacks. So I do recommend the Zun for the backup and the pants for the backup. But if you got a pre-made, by all means, use this configuration instead. So let's get into the skills. Inferno Staff. We're going to be using Degen, Vampire's Bane, Purifying Light. This hits for a ton of damage. On the target dummy, on the raid dummy, I was hitting slightly over 83,000 on this. Amazing. Radiant Oppression. With this build, it hits like a freight train. It hits hard. Inner light on both bars for the max scaling. For the Magicka, it's 5%. And by the way, we do want a 511 configuration. So you notice this is medium and my head is heavy. Why? Because the Undaunted passive is going to do what? Scale our max Magicka by 6% instead of 4. So we want to take advantage of it. It's definitely one of those builds that are, you know, more, you know, configured to the 511 configuration due to max scaling. So heads up, even when you switch to the Zon and the Destruction Mastery Pants, the Zon shoulders will be medium as well. Okay? Now, you're going to want to keep radio sweep on this bar. You're not going to use it. It's not going to be your main ulti. You can utilize it, but one of the main reasons you want to have this slotted, and I need to morph it, is this passive right here. With an Adric Spear ability slotted, increase your critical damage by 10%. Okay, so you definitely do want to have this during the bar swap because of the dots. Okay, so when you're swapping out, you don't want that 10% critical damage to drop off. So I do recommend that, but if you don't want to use it and you want to drop that 10% to put in a different ulti, be my guest, but I'm just telling you, more than likely you're going to implement it. Okay, now Lightning Staff bar. Now, the other shards are going to deal more damage. I do recommend using that, the Blazing Shards, but I'm a healer primarily, so I have Luminous Shards. But Blazing Shards deal a lot more damage. But if you use Luminous Shards in your group and you don't have a Templar, it's really nice because it does offer the extra resource. Okay? Our primary spam is Puncturing Sweeps. No brainer. We're going to be using the Unstable Wall of Storms, Race Against Time, Inner Light, and of course, Meteor. I need to morph it, but once you morph it, go ahead and make sure you do that. That's your primary ulti. Okay? Really, really important here. So, yeah, really love this build. So, let me go ahead and get into the target dummy. We'll show you what our stats look like with the Warhorn and with the Sorks. We'll get that stack. We just want to get the stacks on here. Okay, once that's up, we're going to come in. We're at 55,000 max Magicka, 63 critical with the Waiting Kilt. No Medusa, no Mothers, no Daggers. Okay, this is real. And it hits. I love this build. I love it. I keep telling people you can't build everybody the same. You can't. The Magplar damage definitely benefits from max Magicka versus spell damage. Yes, spell damage does increase most of your effects, but when it comes to the finisher, I'm telling you, during finishing phase, I love the fact that I'm using a max Magicka like Crafty Alfique because it hits so much harder. Now, if you didn't want to use Destruction Mastery, you could substitute that with Mothers and use Crafty Alfique and use the same configuration with the Slime Crawl and the Waiting Kill. But you'll lose some max Magicka, but your critical damage will definitely be a lot higher. So, yeah, there you guys have it. Said and done. This is Justicar. Injustice has been served. Once again, I'm Mr. Raven. This is Mystick's MMOs. Thank you, and as always, have a nice day.